how I tell people it works when you do search advertising is we are targeting people up until about 6 months ago. How it worked is based on what they search in Google and their physical location. Those are the two things. So if they're searching, let's say limo service to MCO, right? And I always give people this scenario. Let's say two people in a similar location search the exact same thing. One of them is someone who uses black car services often. For some reason, their regular transportation provider isn't available. The other person has never used them before, has no idea what they cost, right? And the same search, your ad has the same likelihood of showing to both people. And if you get the person that you had who said, oh, well, Uber is such and such, it's like, that's just not your customer, right?
Yeah.
And up until recently, I just said, hey, that's just a part of, that's almost cost of doing business. You're going to get people who, you know, they're not searching taxi or Uber. I can guarantee you that. But they just don't know what these sorts of services cost.
Exactly.
And so, exactly. And so now how we've shifted, and this is why I love working with Ken, because he's the most consistent. Probably you're the most consistent. And I have clients who are very consistent, but you are just like, you can just tell from this interview, Ken always does what needs to be done.
Oh,
and he's very meticulous about keeping the software we provide him updated with, hey, was it a qualified lead, right? Did they end up booking? How much for? Because we now send all of that data back to the Google Ad account. And over time, it's learning who Ken's ideal clients are so that they're not showing ads to the ones that aren't the ideal client. And you might say, well, how do they know? Well, because do you have a Google account, right? I've had my Gmail account and some sort of Google account for probably 15 years.
They know everything.
I get all of my Amazon receipts, anytime I buy something, my airline, hotel, they know how much money I make approximately, because they have these machine learning algorithms that they're looking at, okay, stay at this hotel, buying this. They can guess, I'm sure, within $50,000 to $100,000 and on the, or within maybe $10,000 of how much money you make based on your purchases and all these different receipts. And so now, not everyone, if you're searching from a private browser or something, then obviously they can't track that. But many people, we found about 70% or so, it knows who they are. And so Ken has been consistently, and he's one of the first ones we implemented this for. It's actually been probably more like 4 months, but we fooled around with the settings a lot. And so over time, the goal is just getting you less and less of those people that mention the Uber thing. And it's never going to be perfect because the whole private browser thing and certain percentage use that. But that's really the goal. And long-winded way of saying, Ken, thank you. That's exactly what you say.
Yeah.
You don't justify your rates, and it's just not your ideal sort of client, right?
Yeah. I mean, I put the high-level software on steroids. Like, I've got my own templates. You know, my thing is, if I'm typing something over and over again, make a template and type it once the way it should sound. You know,
exactly.
Spellings. You know, and so I've got I just said, hi, so-and-so. We sincerely appreciate your response and reaching out to us for a quote. We completely understand that you don't always need luxury car service. If at any time in the future you want our service for a special event, we would be honored to give you a quote. Our best to you, Donovan's Limousine. You know, I don't get into the
perfect.
I don't get into the, well, if you're going to do Uber or, but sometimes if people say they want rental cars, I'll add stuff because and even when I'm on the phone, I'll help them.
That's the goal, right? Your help. That's the difference. I'm going to help them make a decision.
We've got a whole, there's a Ocala and and the villages where there's a lot of retirees, you know, and they're on fixed budgets, and they'll reach out for a car service, you know, and a lot of times they call because the Google's too much for them. And, you know, and so I'm on the phone with them, and they're like, oh my God, that's too expensive. And I go, you know, and they want to hang up. I go, no, I'm not trying to sell you anything. You know, look, if you're looking for a shuttle service, here's a good shuttle service. I see them all the time, you know, and it's like, you know, it's no skin off my back to be nice to people, you know, because
No, exactly.
they, you know, they come back. I never get into it back and forth with them.
Yeah. No, I like that. And that is such a good thing to remember if you do any sort of online marketing, because I feel like a lot of times it just drains you.
Yeah.
If you're trying to justify, if the moment they, you know, they say the Uber thing and they bring up a lower rate, that's just not your client. Just think of it as that's just not a good lead, right?
Yeah, it's just not a good fit.
Yeah, or exactly.
And you know, and also what I come across is, and anybody that's starting out in this, and it's one of the hardest things to do, is know your worth. Okay, and so when I give a person my rate, it's my rate. You know, and sometimes they'll come back at me because everyone's looking for a deal. You know, and they're like, I got XYZ service that can do it for $100 less, and I'm like, good for you. Have a nice day. I said, I don't compete, because the reasoning that I use is there's so many brokers. I said, you know, you might be talking to a service that doesn't have a single car on the road, so they don't know anything. They're just a broker trying to take money. You might be talking to, like, you know, 4 guys in a hotel room in Pakistan. You know what I mean?
No, totally.
You know, and so I don't compete, you know, and I think something, you know, I was like, does that work for the airlines? You know, I mean, you know, my rate to Miami is $400. Hey, how about $300? That doesn't work. My rates, and I'm not nasty about it. It's just like, I just gave you my rates. That's it.
It's just a matter of fact, sort of. There's you know, not really emotion tied to it. I feel like for me, and likely because of what I do, I just can tell when I'm searching. For instance, I was searching for you know, we had a bunch of spider problem at our place, so I was looking for pest control, and it's just all these the big guys. And me myself, I love finding a local, a lot of times owner operator, or someone, it's a smaller business. I know it's their business because there's no one that cares more. Right. So when someone calls Donovan's Limo and they're reading all the reviews, and you get Ken on the phone and the reviews all say Ken, that is right there. I know this person's going to take care of me. They care. It's their business. And especially when you have as many 5-star reviews as you do, and they're all real reviews. It's like, this guy, no matter what happens, he's going to take care of me.